Hi there, it's Jason Mefford. Wanted to come on and do one of the Friday lives again and just talk about some things going on this week. Also, here to answer questions that anybody might have who is on with me live. So, if you're on with me live, type something in the chat or comment area. Chat, I think I'm on Zoom. I'm not, I'm streaming. So, I guess it's called comments. Let me know that you're here in the comments and ask any questions that you want. So again, usually how I do these lives is I come on usually with a particular topic or answering some questions that other people have, and so I'll go through that first, and then end up getting into any questions that you have. And so, all right, hey, thanks. Facebook user, your name didn't come through, but you said you love the cool glasses. Thank you. I love my cool glasses too. I actually have a lot of different colors. So each time that I'm on here, I might have on a different pair of glasses and a different hat and usually a different shirt. But hey, you might find me wearing some of the same stuff because I'm a creature of habit like everybody is. And hey, Ollie, you're on again this time too. So welcome. I like doing these streams. So here we go. So I wanted to talk a little bit, just kind of a recap that I usually try to do on Fridays of the podcast episodes this week. So earlier on Tuesday, Facebook user is Lynn Fountain. Hey, Lynn, how you doing? Good to have you on here. So anyway, let me do first off a little recap of some of the episodes from Jamming with Jason podcast this week, because that's kind of the basis for one of the things that I wanted to talk about today. So on Tuesday, I had an episode with Dr. Gleb Tsipursky, and we talked about cognitive biases. Now, Gleb's an expert in cognitive biases. And what you might not realize, right, is that a lot of times we make decisions using false information. And it's because we are unconsciously, another way of kind of thinking about this is often these cognitive biases are unconscious biases. So we don't actually realize that we're doing it or that we're making some of these mistakes. And we were specifically talking about return to work. Because some companies have actually wasted lots of money. They pissed off some of their employees as a result of it. And so anyway, we talk about some of the cognitive biases that's honestly some of the leaders of some of the biggest companies in the world are making. Now, why are we talking about that? So you don't make the same mistakes. How about that? Okay. So go check out that episode. The other episode that dropped today is around online training, and it's titled Welcome to the Jungle. Like that little theme, I always try to pull in some musical themes when I can, because that goes back to a Guns N' Roses song, right? Welcome to the jungle. Da, 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 da. Anyway, so there we go, a little fun for you on a Friday. But anyway, the reason for that is, especially before or as we moved into what we've been living for the last year and a half from a pandemic standpoint, is most training was done in person. There was some online training. You could go to webinars, you could do some things like that, but most people probably got their training from showing up and going to a particular course, right? You'd sign up for a course, you'd travel to a different city, you'd sit in a hotel or conference center for a couple of days, and you would get trained. Okay, so that's how most people were used to doing it. But again, the pandemic kind of forced us to not be able to do that, and so people were struggling to figure out, what do I do? How do I get trained if I can't show up and do that? Well, I saw that coming a long time ago. That's why I've had an online training company now for 5 or 6 years, because there's a lot of benefits to it. Now, what I'll tell you though, too, is because of that and because of going into the pandemic, all of a sudden, everybody and their dog decided that they're a trainer and they're going to be in the online training space. So this happens anytime that the barriers to entry are lower. Okay. And so this is what happened with the technology the way it is today. Pretty much anybody can become a trainer and start putting content out on the internet. which is great, right? It allows more information to get out there. The problem is, again, sometimes people that do that don't actually know what they're talking about. Okay. And I've seen that a lot of times where people are kind of confused or they get information from somebody that actually doesn't know what they're talking about. So, one of the confusions, as I said, that comes along is people say, I don't I don't know. I go to this thing and it was a waste of my time, right? And that's going to be the reality sometimes, right? So one of the things that you want to do as a learner is, figure out who is this person that's actually providing the training. Do they actually know what they're talking about? Because there's a lot of people out there, and I'm sure they have great intentions, but they'll read some books and they'll just put something together and they'll teach you what they have read in books. Now, how good is that? I don't know. It depends on the books they read. It depends on how they put it together. But wouldn't it be much better to actually learn from somebody who doesn't only have the book smarts, but they've actually experienced it? They've actually lived it, right? They actually know what they're talking about because they've actually lived whatever it is that they're teaching. So, again, one thing that you can do as a learner is just try to find out some information about who the person is that's giving the training. Okay. So, for example, if I was, putting together, if you saw that I was doing a course on underwater basket weaving, I wouldn't take that course from me. Okay. Because I don't know anything about underwater basket weaving. So I shouldn't be the one who's actually teaching you how to do it if I've never done it before myself, right? So you would look at, well, what is Jason an expert at? What do I appreciate, him doing or saying? And so you would tend to, right, look at things that I happen to know something about. Okay. So, again, there's certain topics that I am good at. There's other topics that I'm not good at. And again, because I'm somebody of integrity, I'm not going to put together a course. I'm not going to sell you something that I haven't actually experienced or lived myself. Okay. And so again, shout out to Lynn Fountain because she's on here too. She's one of those people as well. Okay. She knows what she's talking about. She's been in the space that she teaches about for a long time and she knows what she's talking about. Okay. So again, look to people who have actually lived it and not just people, because again, I tell you, there's a lot of stuff that's out there by people that I'm sure that they're well meaning, but they don't actually know what they're talking about. They're naive and they haven't actually experienced it. So, you might as well read the book yourself instead of paying for somebody to just regurgitate to you what's in the book. Okay. So that's kind of the first thing that I wanted to talk about to help you in trying to figure out, where do I go? What do I do? Now, some of the other questions that I get a lot of times is, again, people are used to, hey, I have to show up at a particular date and time to be able to do a training. Okay. And that's still the case, even sometimes when it's online. So there's some things called webinars. Okay. And a webinar is usually something where you have to show up at a particular day and time in order to take that training. Okay. Now, for one, I don't like being told that I have to be somewhere at a particular time. That's just me. Okay. So, for example, I am so grateful that we can stream what we want to watch now. I don't have to show up at the movie theater at a particular time to watch a movie. I just go to my TV and I say, I want to watch, the latest Tarantino movie, whatever it is. I can push, I want it, I buy it, I watch it right now. Okay. So, and also that brings up a point too, because I think it's good. Movies are a great way of explaining another concept, which is the difference between renting versus buying. And so a lot of people don't realize or think about that when it comes to training. But if you show up for a webinar, you are renting that information. You usually get to watch it only one time. And when it's done, it's gone. You never get to see it again. That's like renting. Okay. Now, instead, if you use something else like on demand training, where you get access to that training for the rest of the time that you own it, that's like buying. So, again, if you're looking to, especially from a price perspective, well, of course, it would make sense that a webinar would probably be less money because there's less value in a webinar than there is in an on demand training. Why? Webinar, you get one time. On demand training, you can watch it as many times as you want to, right? And so, again, in our movie discussion, right, each time that I decide to look at a movie, I have to decide, do I want to buy the movie for $20 or do I want to rent the movie for $6? Okay. And so, again, if it's something that I know I'm going to want to watch again, like I talked about Quentin Tarantino, right? He's one of my favorite directors. I love his movies. So I don't rent his movies, I buy his movies because I know that I want to watch it more than one time. Okay. If there's other ones that it's like, I don't really know, I'm not sure, then I'm probably going to end up renting. Okay. So that's another thing for you to consider. Now, the other thing with webinars, a lot of times webinars are free, and that's great. But what I will tell you is, again, as a learner, beware. Anytime something is free, okay, did you hear that? Anytime something is free, you're usually getting sold something, or you have to listen to an advertisement. So, as an example, a lot of times the webinars are done by professional service firms or by other companies that are trying to give you information. Now, they're running a business, so if they're giving you something for free, don't you think they're going to expect something back? Yes. Okay. They take your name, they take your email, and you're on their email list, and they're going to start emailing you about other stuff. Again, it's fine. There's nothing wrong with that, right? If you were running a business, wouldn't you do that the same way? So, but what I want you to realize is, again, sometimes those things that are free actually do cost you. Okay. So just because something is free, first off, if something is free, make sure it looks like that you think there's going to be value in it. Realize that you're probably going to have to watch a commercial or some sort of a thing like that. They're going to take your email. They're going to email you afterwards. And again, that's fine. Just realize going into it that that's going to be the case. The other thing about free things is, and get this, a lot of times free things aren't that valuable. Okay. Why? Because they're free. Okay. If you look at something, you can get free stuff in different places, right? But when you pay for something, it's usually a lot higher quality content. And so, again, for me, I don't usually take a lot of stuff that's free, regardless of what it is, because I would rather pay for what I want than get a whole bunch of stuff for free. Okay. And so if you're one of those kind of people too, then again, just beware. Okay. So that's another thing about it. So again, I've got just a couple more minutes of me kind of talking here. So if you're on here live or if you're watching this later, make sure and put any questions that you have in the comments, and I can come back and either answer them while we're still on live or after the video. Okay. So another thing that I just wanted to bring up here too about online training is there's a term called on-demand training. And I use that. I use that for my C-Risk Academy company. What on-demand means is you get to do the training when and how and where you want. Okay. Now, a lot of people that they put on demand, right, as on certain training that they have, and usually a lot of people that use that term, you have to read material. So it's just like buying a book. Now, I don't like that. And in fact, it's actually the lowest way of you learning something. In fact, you usually only retain about 10% of what you read. So when I talk about on demand, when C-Risk Academy talks about on demand, they're video based courses. Okay, because again, I'm sure that you've sat here and you've been reading and you start nodding off and you get tired, right? Well, it's much more engaging. And in fact, when you use multisensory learning, which is a concept that I kind of came up with and developed, the more of your senses that you are activating when you are learning, the more you're going to retain it, the more you're going to remember it, the more you're going to actually learn it. And so again, I'm now using video on demand usually when I talk about my courses, because so many people get confused and they think, oh, if it's on demand, it's something I have to read. Well, just check the fine print. Okay. I mean, for anything that you're going to sign up for, they should tell you what format you're going to get that in. And so, for example, if you go to a C-Risk Academy course, whether it's mine, whether it's somebody else's like Lynn Fountain's, you're going to see at the bottom, it'll tell you the format that it's in: video plus workbook, or video plus slides, or video, or some are audio as well, but you're going to know up front, right? So again, any training that you're getting, they should be telling you that information too. Okay. Now, another thing to be cautious about is a lot of the people that are doing this, they don't actually treat it like a business. It's a hobby. So what does that mean for you as the learner? Well, if you have somebody who's kind of dabbling in this, it means they don't have a team behind them supporting them. So if you have a customer service issue, good luck, right? Because you're probably not going to get much satisfaction from it. Another thing is, a lot of people that are doing on demand or online training, they don't offer any kind of a refund. Now, that's one of the things that's different about C-Risk Academy, okay, is they actually provide a 30-day money-back guarantee. So you can actually register for something, pay for it, watch it. If it wasn't what you were expecting, you can ask for your money back. Again, most people don't do that. So as you're looking, right, for some of the different places that you want to actually go and get training, check it out. Do they offer, some sort of a guarantee if it's not what they said it was? Okay. Now, again, that doesn't mean that, you go in and take the training and it's like, this was great, but I want my money back. That wouldn't be really very ethical for you to do that, right? But again, if you sign up for something, it's not what you were expecting, of course you should be able to ask for your money back. That's just normal business sense, right? But again, as I said, some of the people that are providing training, they're not treating it as a business. It's actually a hobby. And so again, be careful about that. Look for people that have been around for a long time. And like I said, the reason I'm saying C-Risk Academy is they've been around 5 or 6 years now. So they know what they're doing. I'm part of it, right? So, all disclosure going along there too. But just make sure that you know what you're getting into. Okay. So that kind of wraps up the formal stuff that I wanted to talk about. There's a lot more in that podcast episode. So again, if this has been helpful for you, go out and actually watch or listen to the podcast episode. You can find it on my website, jasonmefford.com/jamming with Jason. You can see the most current ones are going to play right on that page. You can also find them on any of the podcast players, but also on that page on my website are links to all of the previous episodes as well. So if you want to scroll through and see, hey, that topic looks like something I want to look at, you can go out and take a look at it that way. Okay. So anyway, that's let me check here. Any other comments that have come in? All right. Well, everybody who was on with me live today, thank you. Like I said, if you missed the live and you have questions as well later, make sure to add them in the comments down below because I do go in every day or so and kind of check and see if other people have questions and answer them in the comment section. So with that, have a great Friday, great weekend, and I'll catch you on the next live. See ya.